thank you guys for joining us again. Yes. For those of you that know or don't know, my name is Ulrich.
And I'm Siobhan.
And this is The Journey So Far.
Hi.
And the journey so far is just our opportunity to just give back. Yes. We're celebrating 10 years of marriage this year.
September.
Praise be to God. Because it's been a long decade, I must say. And what a way to end it. Crazy.
Jesus. So much uncertainty.
It's just beyond.
It's a serious one.
But yeah, so we just thought with the current situation, we'll just come on here and just share our story. Stuff that we've been wanting to do for a long time, and so honoured and humbled to be able to share with you guys.
Yeah.
Loads of stuff that we've learned along the way. And we hope that you enjoy it. Today's topic is, I can't say that I love you. Wow. Mad.
So the reason why, and we're just going to get stuck straight in, guys, because one thing about today is that we're going to be as real as we can be. And this is like some inner court real stuff that is going to be shared.
Yups.
So
not too inner court, but just
well, there's the inner court and then there's the holies of holies. So it will just be somewhere around the altar.
Somewhere
of incense. Hey Liv, how's it going, honey? It's good to see you on here. So today we're talking about those 3 special words. You know, those 3 special words. You want to say it, your partner wants to say it, you don't want to say it too soon. You know that you've been hurt before when you said it. You know that it gets thrown around real easy. People are saying it after the first date, and you're just like,
jeez. Or on the first day, and it's like, I've only known you for a minute.
I just met you. I haven't been there. Or you feel like you're ready to say it. You feel good to say this, like, let's jump in straight. Yeah. And actually, it's just that bit hasty. It's a lovely feeling.
Yeah. It's not time.
But maybe it's a bit premature. And the 3 special, lovely words is, I love you. Now, one thing that we learned in this chapter, and it was the most profound set of words, is that love expresses itself. And we will come back to this. So, Ulrich and I, as you guys know, we went on our first date on the 4th of March. And, or it wasn't our first date, but it was a walk in the park. Hey! And we basically got to start talking and walking and sharing and so on and so on. Yes. And it was completely identified by the first date, where there was no food, no drink, no luxuries, no niceties, that we were taking this super slow. Now, when I say super slow, it was like baby steps. Although meeting parents kind of happened ahead of what we wanted, or outside of the timescale that we kind of wanted, everything else was really, really taking it slow. And as you know, we had the 40-day, we spent time in prayer, 40 days praying and fasting, seeking God's face, or praying and fasting for 7 days at the beginning and 7 days at the end. And then by this time we're up to about, hey Omar, we're up to about September. So taking it into consideration, we went for the first walk in March. We're into the September. Hey, sorry. So we get to September and everything's going well. We're liking what we're doing. We're enjoying each other. We're, really bonding and growing in a relationship. We didn't really tell many people.
Nope.
We didn't do any public Facebook announcements or anything like that.
Nope.
If people knew, then they knew. There were certain people that we might phone and say, hey, because of like personal relationships that we're close with them. But other than that, it generally was down to, if you see us together and you cotton on, then you cotton on. Those who need to know, they know.
Yeah, we're not announcing it on the rooftops.
But we're not doing a public, like the the Facebook thing where you can say this person is dating this person's in a relationship with that person. We didn't have that.
Nope.
We were single. And the revelation that God gave to us is, until you are married, your status doesn't change. You are still single.
Wow.
So
because the definition of singleness is being unmarried.
Yes. And people, you know, like we go to singles relationships, like seminars, and people and conferences, and people who knew that we were dating would be like, why are you two going when you're in a relationship? You're not trying to meet new people. And we're like, no, we are single.
Individuals.
We're single until married.
So
we're not jumping ahead of it. We were very much believers of protecting the stage that we were at. And not progressing it and not opening love before it's time.
And still being open to development.
Yes.
Because I think sometimes when you get into the whole dating arena, it's almost like, oh, I don't need to...
Yeah, because I've arrived.
I'm in a relationship now. So, but you're still developing. You're still single. There's still things you can go to a single conference and still learn. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Because you haven't gained all of the knowledge. You are still growing. You are still developing. You are still changing, and you go to these different things and you pick up new tips and pointers and ideals. So it's good. But one of the things that we identified from the beginning, and you guys know this already, is that we wanted to make sure that we had a relationship that was continually meeting kind of like checkpoints to say, how are we going? Are we going too fast? Are we progressing things? And that had positive and negatives. And I'll share some of the negatives a bit later in today's episode. So basically, we progressed to the Christmas, and we were nice about our Christmas presents.
Right.
Our Christmas presents were very much positive,
edifying,
developmental kind of gifts. No sexy lingerie.
No perfumes. Like we because guys, if you guys have not seen the Boundaries in Dating, go back and watch it, particularly part 2. Because we talked about this, the whole gift giving thing. It was just like, look, I was not going to get her perfume, and then if we broke up, she starts like
spraying the thing,
crying on her pillow and thinking, oh my gosh, like nah.
No. So it was very much we made sure that we were protecting and safeguarding this. We see it as a baby, but it was our relationship, and we wanted it to naturally and organically mature. Well pleased with that. However, when it got to the following year, the Valentine's, it was lovely. It was nice. It wasn't too far ahead. Beautiful flowers. I think we went to the theatre. It was a really, really lovely time. Don't get me wrong. But now we're coming up to almost a year.
Was it almost a year? Or was it more?
It was no. At this point, by the February, we're coming up to almost a year.
Okay.
And we haven't said these 3 little words. And for me, I'm like, okay, there's going slow, and then there's
going slow.
So I'm kind of like, okay, when is this thing gonna happen? Because I know that I feel it. I'm ready to say it. We are causing these feelings within each other. We're spending the time together. We're growing, and I know, God, we're not opening love at the door before it's time. We're not rushing these things. We're not trying to be too hot, like too sexual, and we're really trying to hold it down. But come on, come on, somebody, come on.
That was a lot.
We got to our 1-year anniversary, and it still wasn't said. And I was a bit like, did I do something wrong here? What's going on? Okay, so
you can obviously gather from what Siobhan is saying that it was moi that I don't know if I was if I was ready or not ready. It was just mad. Hey, Elisa.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I knew he wasn't ready to say it. Okay, and the thing is.
But why did you think I wasn't ready to say it?
I knew you wasn't ready to say it.
No, but why?
Because we had conversations about this thing. Now, the conversations that we had, I asked specific questions. Questions around love. Like, how do you see the word love? How do you think we communicate love? When we looked at our love languages, you know, we very much focused on, okay, so what do you feel? How do you... And one of the things Ulrich said to me very openly and quite frankly is, one of his love languages, and the primary love language, is words of affirmation. Now, because of that, we already knew. Mine was very close, like physical touch, words of affirmation, they were kind of intertwining. However, because of that, because we knew that these were our main love languages, we knew that by sharing some of the things that we wanted to say to each other, it may cause us off to start doing other things, i.e. to protect
Pandora's box, mate.
Our relationship. If I know that his love language is words of affirmation, and I start speaking soft nothings in his ears and so on and so on, that already is going to open up some doors. So if we're already safeguarding to say, right, we're not going to kiss, so on and so on, how can I then stir him up by using my words and then try and walk away, or then try to honour him as my brother? Do you get what I'm saying? Because at this point we are not married and we are respecting what God is saying. And so the reason why I say all of that is to say we had to filter the words that we said to one another. Hence, I love you was rather late being said. So Ulrich was very adamant that certain words would be held back.
Yes, 100%. Because I think, obviously, guys, those of you that have been following us since the beginning, like, I was just very protective of my stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, nah, I'm not just gonna waltz into this thing and start making the same mistakes.
Yes.
And when we started dating, you know, I said it. I said, look, we're not gonna be calling each other no nicknames. No babes, no wifey. What were the words back in those days?
No. It was straight. It was babes. It was wifey. It was hun. Any of that.
All of that, man.
Now,
lock off.
Listen, guys.
Lock off.
I'm gonna be so real with you. I'm gonna be so real with you.
Woo.
I was hurting because of this. I was really hurting.
You never told me that.
I was hurting. No, I told you this. And the reason why I told you, like I was hurting. One day, we are in the car with one of my really good friends, a Frie. Now, when a Frie talks, she just talks. And a Frie must have been talking to Ulrich. And she was like, oh, yeah, babe, because da-da-da-da. And I was like... and Ulrich, in conversation... responded back like it was nothing. No. He didn't say don't call me that. He responded, yeah, because I agree.
Yeah, but that was different because when it's somebody else who doesn't know the secrets of the inner court, of course, I'm not gonna say to her, don't call me babe. That's how she talks. But I'm saying between the two of us, nah, man, let's not do it. Let's not do it.
So anyway. I'm gonna be honest.
That's like saying to somebody, oh, don't swear at me or don't use curse words around me, and then I go and meet somebody like on the train or somebody at work and they cuss for forever and I don't say anything. It's like, well, you know.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is,
you were hurting.
Okay. I was hurting. Cool. Because these are the ways that I wanted to express my affection and so on and so on. And he had shut it down. No. And he was like, listen, there's some things that we need to save.
Oh, come on,
for when we're in that place.
Yes.
And it's not that time. Now, when I tell you guys...
Well, thank God we waited, man.
Ulrich was so on this. It's not that time. It's not that time.
That was my word.
It's not that time.
It's not that time.
It's not yet. It's not time yet. It's not time yet for that. Not time yet. Like, for crying out softly, everything was getting clamped to one point. Yeah. I'll be honest with you guys. Yeah,
you make me sound so bad.
When we got married, I was like, so what was all those other things that wasn't those times? Let's have them times now because we're married. He's like, I can't remember what they were. I'm like, what do you mean you don't remember? I missed the season. I've missed the season.
No, you haven't missed the season.
He doesn't remember what those things were.
You need to pull the season into where you are.
There were so many. No, guys. There were so many. It was 3.5 years. Think of it, 3.5 years of it's not that time.
Because it clearly wasn't. It took us 3 years.
So anyway, guys, it's something that's there on my heart. Okay.
I'm sorry, guys.
And the thing is,
it works though.
I think that it's so interesting that the tables have turned because when Ulrich asked me what's my ministry, it was me who was shutting it down.
It
was me who was saying, listen, you can't come up in here. Then we get in the relationship.
You probably inspired me to go into a whole life of just...
we get into the relationship and Ulrich is like,
off, man.
We're not kissing. We're not saying X. We're not saying Y. We're not saying Z.
You're not going to tell me your ministry. Then I'm going to look up everything else.
It was deep. But,
it was necessary.
I respect the boundaries because it kept us on a real treadmill.
On
it
our
kept
toes,
us on a real workout.
It was
literally like us saying, okay, cool, let's protect this thing. Let's really raise
it was our treasure.
And
I think when you begin to see it as your treasure, and especially when you know when that treasure has been abused previously or when you've abused the treasure before, it's like, nah, man, let's do this differently. Do you know what I mean? And
it was difficult. So
it was hard, man.
What happened was it was getting a bit much for me because we weren't sharing these words of affirmation, and I was really wanting to, but at the same time, and I know that some people would be thinking, well, why didn't you just say it? If you wanted to say it, just because he's not saying it, you can still say it. But my heart could not take saying it and he shut it down or reject it or not say it back. I couldn't deal with that. That for me was just like,
that's real.
Don't put yourself out there just to say, well, I just need to get this off my chest because there's a way to do this thing. You need to guard your heart. And part of me guarding my heart with Ulrich was to say, okay, cool, you're not ready. I'm gonna respect that you're not ready to say it, and I'll wait. I will patiently wait for you to get to that stage that you can now share that thing. But I'm not gonna impose the fact that I'm ready to say it on you to now force you.
But we did have an argument.
We did to now force you to say it. So when
in the car.
So here's what happened.
On the roundabout to the station.
Here's what happened. Okay. Bearing in mind, around this time, Ulrich and I were talking future because it's 1.5 years we've been dating now.
Yeah.
It's 1.5 years, guys.
Yeah.
A year and a half.
It was.
And we're talking about future. We're talking about plans. We're talking about where do we see each other, what we're doing, jobs-wise, where are we going? And I remember Ulrich, at the time, Ulrich was toying around with the idea of moving abroad. And he was saying to me, you know, like, if I moved abroad, what would you do? How would you feel about that? All of that kind of stuff. So I was kind of like, well, I'd probably, the job that I'm in now, I'd have to take a job that's similar over there. That kind of, we were really looking at this thing. But my heart was hurting because I couldn't stay in this place dreaming about a future, but the confines and the restraint, it was just too much. And I remember speaking to my dear sister in the Lord, Rachel. My
dear sister in the Lord.
Yeah, well, she's Rachel Brown now, but she was, she's still Rachel Brown then. And she basically was saying, Siobhan, how can you be talking about going to another country and you two haven't even said those 3 special words? What's going on? You're talking about migrating, going across
what Elisa said.
The Atlantic, and you haven't even said what? So
yes.
At this point, I was just like, she's so right. What on earth am I doing? And I was past boiling point. I was just like, we need to get this on the table now. We need to discuss this. We need to sort this out.
Yeah.
And we got into a big argument about why we haven't said it. Now, at the time I was driving and we were arguing.
Don't worry, guys. We didn't get into an accident.
And we were trying to go around the roundabout.
The way she's saying it's like one big suspense. And I was driving.
We nearly got into an accident because the way how I was driving, it was like, what do you mean?
Yo, slow down, girl.
The beef was real. It was too much. And as a result, we had to sit down with my pastor at the time, which was Pastor Davey.
Yeah.
And I love what he said, because he literally sat us down and he talked about how we've been conducting our relationship. And he says, as much as it's admirable that the two of you are really rigid about not letting things stir up before it's time and not allowing things to go to certain places before it's time.
Yeah.
I think you need to kind of give yourselves a break a bit and actually identify that this could have some negatives. And I was just like...
But before you move on,
okay,
I think it's important for me to come here, because up until this point, and it's actually really weird hearing Siobhan talk about this, because she hasn't actually spoken to me about this ever since it happened. Because once we got through this season, so to speak, we never spoke of it again, because it was just like... So it's really weird actually listening to her. But I think for me, I was very guarded in many areas.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of the reasons why I did things were courageous, and they were from a good heart and a pure heart, honestly. But I think when it came to the I love you section, that's when it got a little bit emotional, because for me... Oh, gosh. Sorry about that, guys. So for me, it was... I was afraid.
Yeah.
Let me just put it out there. I was afraid, because I think when I started to actually look deep within myself, I began to realize that I don't think I'd actually... Like how I saw things, or how I saw the relationship being when I was ready to say it, for some reason I was finding it really difficult, like, to connect the two.
Ulrich wanted to say it when he was ready to propose. That's it. He wanted to say I love you when he's ready to propose, and I was just like, no, that's not. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna wait.
So it exposes me a bit, because obviously I didn't know how this thing works. Do you understand? So growing up, obviously I never necessarily saw that type of thing. Do you understand? And so I didn't really know how to communicate this feeling that I had for Siobhan. Like, it was really weird, because it was frustrating at the same time, because it was almost like I want to say it, and then she would, like, that day when we were in the car and she was crying her eyes out, and I was frustrated, not with her, but with myself, because I was just like, I'm ready to say this thing, but something just kept on holding me back, because in my head, the way that I saw it was, you know, you say those words when you're ready to, like, propose, when you're ready to, like, go in, which is the reason, probably not the reason, but I know that because of my approach to things, it was like, we were getting there, we were talking about all the right things, we were doing all the right things, we were praying, we were in some ways accountable, and, you know, we were moving forward. And I was lashed, man. Do you know what I mean? Because I was just like, no, man, this needs to stop. And I think even as a guy, I mean, I don't know how many other guys have experienced this type of thing, but and I think it's also the fear of being hurt, because I felt like I love you was almost like it was a done deal.
Yeah.
Like, if I said these words, it was like the floodgates were gonna open, and it was just gonna be like, boom, yeah, you saw it, you said it. Oh! Do you know what I mean? And it was just like, that's it, it's sealed. And I think because I was still in that process of, okay, is she the right person?
But not after a year and a half. After a year and a half, you were deep in. Okay. You were deep in. There was no turning back. It was just that in his mind, he had said, the right time to say I love you is when, and I was just,
it was mad. So when we got to Pastor David,
we sat down with Pastor David.
He finished my life, though.
He did.
One statement.
And you know what I love about it was, he didn't say,
go on and say it. What's wrong with you, boy?
He didn't force anything. Nothing like that.
It was wisdom. That's what you call wisdom.
It was great wisdom that he shared with us. And he basically sat us down and he was talking to us about how we've been conducting our relationship, how we've been speaking. And he said, you know what, guys, you have to be really careful because there are people who he knows who have taken their time to say I love you, who have taken their time to show words of affirmation. They've waited until marriage to show some of those words, and it has been very difficult to turn it on. So they've turned the tap off, basically, to restrict those words as a protective measure. But then when they get into the marriage, it's now difficult to
begin
to start using those words because they're so used to not using it. And I have to be completely honest with you guys, we were just like
ain't not gonna happen.
And then
that tap is waiting to come on.
It's gonna be left on. Drip drip.
About drip drip, more like a flood, man.
Yeah, no.
Sorry guys, we digress. But yeah, go on.
So basically, after he and I think that was really sound wisdom, because when he said that to us, it was
you have to say what he said.
No, about the turning it off and keeping stopping yourselves from saying it.
Yeah.
It was sound wisdom, because then it was always there in the back of our mind that we will have to make a conscious effort to make sure that we don't get into the state we don't get caught up with not saying I love you. Like, we make a conscious effort to say I love you, to say, call each other babe, darling, express that kind of affirmation and that attraction in that way, so that it's not overlooked and so that it's not something that is swept under the carpet and just getting on with day-to-day life.
100.
And then he said to Ulrich, and then we talked about the fact that he hasn't said I love you, and I said I haven't said I love you to Ulrich, but I know I'm ready to say it, but I know that Ulrich is not ready to say it.
I was ready, I just had other issues that was preventing me from saying it.
So
clearly
then Pastor Davey he did like a little Solomon moment.
Bless
it was
your
like
heart. Yeah,
it was just like for us anyway. He said to Ulrich, have you told God that you love her?
Boom!
And it was just like,
it's over now, move over. It's my turn out, it's over. Game shot down. Sorry.
So literally, where Ulrich wanted to...
Yeah, I just melted, man.
I could see it in his eyes. And you know those ones...
I can see it.
Like, I looked down when Pastor David asked him the question, and then I looked up at him and he was like, yes, I have. And then he was like, so if you can tell God that you love her, then why can't you tell her that you love her? And it was just like... So, he didn't say it right there and then. We both just blushed and smiled and so on and so on.
I had to come to terms with it.
Yeah, and then we kind of left and we didn't really talk about it again. We just left it. For me, I was already like, hey, he's already told God that he loves me, so it's fine. I'll take that. I'll take the win in that. That's fine. We don't need to discuss it. When he's ready, he'll say it. I know he feels it. I know he'll say it. So we left and I didn't say it again. So by this time, it was the summer. It was August because Ulrich's mum had gone away. I think she'd gone to the States. And so Ulrich called me and said, "I'll come over."
Oh, to our house.
To yours. And
the way she said that, where I was like, my heart.
No. Ulrich said, "Come over. We're going to discuss things. Let's talk about what we discussed with Pastor Davey, so on and so on." I will never forget this day. And the reason why I know that this day was in August is, the man of the hour, Manfred and Shida were getting married the next day.
Jesus is Lord.
And I knew that I had to be at Shida's house really, really early to help out and so on and so on. So I'm talking like, I live in East London and they live in South London. And I'm sure I needed to be there like 6:45, maybe 6:30, that kind of running. So real, real early. And all I remember is I got to Ulrich's the night before and I'll say it like this. So I got to Ulrich's the night before and we start talking about what we discussed with Pastor Davey, and that night Ulrich said to me, "I love you." But what we weren't prepared for was what came afterwards. Pastor David said it to us, but we weren't prepared for what came after.
Love expresses itself.
So Pastor David said to us, listen guys, because you haven't said it to each other, when you do come now to say these special words, these 3 special words to each other, be careful, because love expresses itself. And we were like, what do you mean love expresses itself?
We need to tweet that. Yeah, we need to share that one.
Listen, it was late when I got to Oris in the first place.
Well, yeah, it was deep, guys. It was deep.
It was one of those nights.
Because I think love itself was just trying to, carry us to somewhere that, you know, it was like a wind, you know, like in those films where there's like a ship and then the wind just comes and lashes the ship and nobody's ready on the boat. It's just like, whoa. Do you know what I mean? It was. So
we
weren't prepared. We weren't ready. We weren't ready.
We weren't ready for love to express itself the way that it did. It was just like a flood of emotions, a floodgate opened.
Yeah, man.
And literally, it was a struggle that night. Honestly, that night, how we left there, not having gone to a certain place, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it was just that I knew I've got a wedding. I've got a wedding to get to in the morning. I need to be in South London very early. If I do not leave now,
there's going to be problems.
I'm going to have a problem. But there was going to be a problem if I didn't leave anyway. But I tell you, the way that it was just like a flood of emotion. And that kind of...
It's like it'd been bottling up.
Yes.
Literally that tap that, you know... It was just like, it just bust open, where it's just like...
And it was a joy to say, I love you. And it was like, it was the emotional rush, everything that came with it. We were literally caught up. But what we then had to start to do was put new measures in place. Because the minute we said, I love you to each other, everything else physically wanted to express that love.
Literally.
And it was now a new level of fire. It was like, okay, cool.
New boundaries. See, this is why I didn't want to say... No, I'm joking.
And do you know what? We're going to be so... Some tongues came out. But guys, we have to be so honest with you. Definitely. To maintain like the new boundaries, what we had to understand is that it's not about saying, okay, fine, well, we're going to run away from it. Yeah. You don't learn how to come against temptation by running from it. You actually have to put new boundaries in place.
Absolutely. The Bible says run, but wisdom will tell you that
it will present itself all the time. And the way to build that up is to have the stamina to say, okay, cool, I'm going to put these measures in place so that I don't go to that place. So that it's like, if you, and we say it to any couple, if you are struggling with intimacy and becoming too physically intimate, if you are trying to wait until you're married to have intercourse and all the rest of it, what we would say is you don't avoid it. You don't, like, when I say don't avoid it, you don't avoid each other to try and think that that's going to solve the problem.
Yeah, you have to find a way to manage it.
Exactly.
Just like any problem that you have at work or you have at home, there's a way to manage it so that you can get the benefits from what that thing is there for. Exactly. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I think sometimes as Christians we get so super spiritual and we just think everything is like, you know, spiritual might and all that kind of stuff and praying and all that. No, actually sometimes you just need to put boundaries in place.
Exactly. So a prime example is, if I have a problem with chocolate, I don't avoid going to the shops that chocolate is in. I need to be able to go into those shops, those stores that sell chocolate, but I need to be able to walk past it.
Come on.
That is the resisting the temptation. Not saying, okay, fine, well, I'm not going to even go outside of my house. That's not It's just
not the way.
You haven't actually built up a way to say no to that thing. You've just tried to avoid it. And I think we can go into more detail here another time, but I really just want to say to people that there is a way that you develop, not putting yourself in harm's way, not putting yourself in the line of fire, i.e. let me get naked in front of the person and then say, don't touch me. No, I think you're mucking about with the
foolishness.
But I do think that there is a level of temptation that you need to be around, but also be able to say no to it.
Yes.
And because you're now able to say no to it, that is now what allows you to have the stamina to go the distance.
Definitely. Sorry.
But we will share more about that another time. Sorry guys, we had to plug in, you know.
Battery.
So guys, we are going to be rounding up.
Yes.
But we just wanted to share with you guys our journey to saying I love you, and how love expresses itself, and how we need to guard our hearts, because with matters of love and matters of the heart, there are so many things that can either go right or go wrong with it, and you have to protect your relationship, yourselves, each other, and really just respect where each other's comfortability was. I didn't push Ulrich to say it. I got fed up of not hearing it. But
that could be interpreted. Yeah. Whether your frustration was the push.
It is.
You didn't push,
a year and a half.
Yeah, but don't matter.
That was a long wait. That wasn't a long... What? What wasn't long enough? The session wasn't long enough, or the wait wasn't long enough?
Oh, jeez.
Well, while she thinks about that.
Because you never know. Because some people looked at us.
Oh, no. She's saying the session.
Some people look at us and think 3 years. Oh, my gosh, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Whereas, do you get what I'm saying? So people have, I guess, different...
The session. She's in the session.
Different
Not
boundaries.
The wait. Not the wait. The wait was long enough.
It still works, though. You know what I mean? Some people are, you got to go through your process sometimes.
Yes, so. You do. You do have to go through your process, and we don't knock it. But as you can see, one of the things we always say is there's things that we did great, and there's things that we didn't do, like, that were not so great. And if we could redo it, I'd pray that Lord would bring that a lot sooner. But at the same time, we now were able to withstand what that came with. So guys,
3 years long. Oh my gosh, leave us alone, man. Sure. It was good. The foundation was laid. So we can glory now. No, I'm joking. Oh, well, I'm not joking.
So guys,
yes.
next week we have a wonderful session coming up.
Straight to the point, guys.
Yay! We're so excited.
Our theme is competing and completed.
Whoop, whoop.
Last week was mad. We had Tyler and Sarah, and we talked about marriage, career, acting. And if you haven't watched it, please go to Two Love Collective on YouTube and catch the whole episode. But next week, we're taking competing and completing to a different level. Not another level, but a different level.
A different level.
Because we're not only going to be focusing on marriage and career, but we are going to be talking about sibling rivalry.
Well,
with identical twins.
If there's rivalry,
we're gonna talk about it.
We're talking.
How can you be a twin and there hasn't been rivalry? Impossible. Impossible.
Okay.
If you're a twin, identical or non, that is good. If you haven't competed with your significant other sibling, message us directly on here.
We want to hear, but
it's impossible.
We have 2 identical twins. Should we share their names?
Yeah, of course, 100%.
So we have Joanna and Sherry Steed coming to join us next week, Tuesday, 9 p.m. So please, guys, tune in. It's going to be amazing. They are identical. Like, when I say identical, I mean identical. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, we're going to be talking to them about competition. We're going to be talking to them about how they support each other, the things they've been through over the years, and they have so much to share. They are so lovely. It's going to be exciting. So guys, make sure you tune in and don't miss out.
Yes, it's going to be amazing, guys. So as we usually say, guys, thank you guys so much for connecting with us today. You could have been watching Netflix, Prime, or Disney, but you decided to share your evening with us, and we appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
So please continue to like our content that's coming out. Continue to share our page to anybody that you know that would benefit from the stuff that we're talking about. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And invite somebody next week, please, because it's going to be so much fun. But yes, this is it. We're done.
Bye, guys.
Take care. Have a blessed night.
See you.
Bye.